when did you start getting in the game? And I think you said Atlanta was when you first started learning Tekken.
Yeah, so I started playing Tekken semi seriously or competitively around 2001, 2002 time. So, we moved to Atlanta around 95. So I would say I was around 15 or 16 years old, high school. Uh, and then, yeah, from that point on, I would say I took it seriously and started competing, traveling for tournaments shortly after that. So, 2002 and 2003 was like my first Evo and like my first like big tournament. And then that's kind of like when I started. So yeah, 2003, 2002, 2003 till about now. So like about 20 years I've been like competing for and playing. Yeah.
So was Tekken your first fighting game that you ever played?
Um, I definitely dabbled into other fighting games before Tekken. I would say Street Fighter, like Street Fighter 2 and Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat 1 and 2 were like some of my, and Killer Instinct, some of my earlier games before I dabbled into Tekken. And I would say Tekken 3 was the one that I kind of started playing a little more seriously. And then Tekken Tag 1 is when I started actually like playing in tournaments. And then Tekken 4 was probably like the first Tekken that I started from day one fresh, because it came
Mm,
out in the arcades and we all kind of had it at the same time, America and, other parts of the world. So yeah, that's kind
yeah.
of like the starting of my Tekken career.
Okay, and what would you say was it about Tekken that made you lean towards it more than other fighting games? Was it just you really like 3D more than you like 2D, or was it the stories? Was it the characters? What really made you jump into Tekken
Um,
1?
I think the execution barrier or how difficult it was to learn the game, and each character had so many moves. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of weird like that, but maybe like the difficulty of the game compared to other fighting games, whether it be 2D or 3D or not. But I felt like it was kind of like chess a little bit, like yeah, some games or some games might be more complex than other games, and it draws certain people, and I guess that's what drew it to me personally. So, and then I kind of and maybe the actual fight styles in the game were close to real life as it would be compared to other fighting games. So,
Oh, okay.
like they
Yeah.
actually have real fighting techniques like capoeira, for instance, or taekwondo. So I think a combination of those two things is what drew me to Tekken.
Yeah, that's definitely not how when I saw Tekken, I saw the move list. I was like, yeah, next game. Like
Right, right.
it was just like a little overbearing when you first saw it. Um, so you said it was around 2003, 2004 when you first started doing it competitively, right?
So,
Um, oh, go ahead.
no, 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 you're right. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what were like the tournaments that was happening around that time? Like, what were your locals that you were going to? Like, because it's great to hear about like the old school, classic, tournaments and stuff that was happening back in the day. Nowadays people don't know anything about it.
Right, right. So I would say the big tournaments back then were Tekken in Texas, which they call it TIT, which they had an annual tournament there, kind of like they do now, which they have like Texas Showdown and other tournaments
Mhm.
there now. So that was kind of like the big event in Texas for Tekken, and then we had a tournament called Electric Cancel, which is ran by a couple players named Tom Hilfiger and Rocksteady, and they kind of did a recent Electric Cancel for Tekken 7 a few years back in 2019, but that was kind of like the resurrection of the tournament. But those two guys kind of did. And that was California, and then I would say Final Round, if you're familiar with Final Round,
Of course. So yeah.
Atlanta. So that was kind of like the South regional there, and then leading up to Final Round is kind of like our local Atlanta scene. So the reason why Atlanta Tekken is so strong is because I feel like a lot of the strong players and the way Atlanta was demographically, we would all kind of meet up and play with each other, and it kind of didn't care how far we had to drive to play with each other.
Mhm.
So I think that's kind of like what separated us or what drove us to be so strong is that a lot of the top players we didn't care about anything else but just trying to get better, and we all played with each other. And I guess that's why Atlanta has bred a lot of these strong players or champions.